Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast.
Great to be here.
Today we're doing a focused exploration of Tonix Pharmaceuticals Holding Corp, TNXP. We've got some recent reports and analyses, and our goal is really to distill the key info and figure out what it means for you, our informed listener.
Sounds good. We'll look at the financials, what they're working on, expert takes.
All without getting too bogged down, hopefully. So let's start there. What are the recent financials telling us?
Okay, so first quarter 2025 revenue, it came in at $2.43 million. That was just a bit under the $2.55 million estimate.
Slightly under. Is that unusual in biotech?
Not really. These minor fluctuations happen. But maybe more interestingly, their earnings per share for Q1, that was actually negative $2.84.
Okay, negative 2.84. How did that stack up?
It was better than expected. The street was looking for, I think, negative $3.23.
Oh, so they beat on the EPS front, even if revenue was a touch light. Any thoughts on why?
It could hint at maybe some decent cost management in the quarter, managing expenses effectively.
Right. And if people are looking for a quick valuation check, like a PE ratio.
Yeah, you won't find one right now. Tonix isn't profitable yet.
Which is pretty common for biotech firms still in the growth and development phase, isn't it?
Very common. They're pouring money into R&D, focusing on getting those drugs through trials and approved. Profitability often comes later, if at all.
So traditional metrics like PE don't really tell the whole story here.
Not at this stage. You're looking more at the science, the pipeline, the potential market size, upcoming catalysts, things like that. SEC filings would have more detail on debt, cash flow, of course.
Makes sense. So let's move beyond the numbers for a second. What exactly is Tonix Pharmaceuticals trying to achieve? What's their focus?
They're a biopharmaceutical company. Their main game is developing treatments and also vaccines.
For what kinds of conditions?
Primarily central nervous system disorders, things like pain management, and also some public health issues.
Okay. Do they have a leading candidate people should know about?
They absolutely do. It's TNX 102SL. This one is under FDA review right now, specifically for fibromyalgia.
Fibromyalgia, right. And there's a key date coming up for that.
Yes, the PDUFA date, the decision date, is expected around August 15th, 2025. Big catalyst for them. And it's worth noting this drug also has fast-track designation from the FDA.
Fast track. We hear that term. What does that actually mean for the company in practical terms?
It's a good question. Basically, fast track is designed to speed up the development and review process for drugs addressing serious conditions where there's an unmet need.
So more help from the FDA.
Essentially, yeah. It means Tonix can have more frequent meetings, more communication with the FDA during the review, and potentially, if everything lines up, it could lead to a priority review, shortening that decision timeline.
That sounds like a definite plus. Is their work just focused on TNX 102SL, or do they have other irons in the fire? You mentioned treatments.
They do have other things going on. They actually have a commercial presence already with treatments for migraine, like Zembrace.
Ah, so they do have some products already generating revenue, even if smaller scale.
Correct. And their pipeline isn't just TNX 102SL. They're also looking into treatments for autoimmune conditions, infectious diseases.
Diversification.
Exactly. And something else quite interesting is their preclinical work. They have a candidate called TNX 1700.
What's that targeting?
Gastric and colorectal cancers. They actually presented some data on this at the recent AACR annual meeting, the big cancer research conference.
So they're expanding into oncology, too. That seems ambitious.
It shows breadth, having multiple shots on goal, different therapeutic areas.
Yeah.
It's a common risk mitigation strategy in biotech.
Yeah.
If one program hits a snag, you're not entirely reliant on it.
Good point. Now, the biotech world is famously competitive. How does Tonix fit into that landscape?
It's definitely a tough industry. Innovation is key. There's huge demand for new therapies, but you also face significant regulatory hurdles and, yes, lots of competition.
So where's Tonix's edge, potentially?
Their potential advantage could lie in the novelty of some of their treatments, like the sublingual formulation for TNX 102SL and that diversified pipeline we just talked about.
Who are the big players they might bump up against?
Well, in areas like CNS disorders or vaccines, they're technically competing with giants, think Pfizer, Biogen, companies like that. But for something specific like fibromyalgia with TNX 102SL, if approved, they might carve out a more defined niche.
Makes sense. Let's talk about recent news flow. Any key developments at the company lately?
A few things stand out. We already mentioned the Q1 results reported on May 12th, where they also highlighted that ACR cancer therapy presentation.
Okay. Anything else?
Personnel changes. They appointed a new general counsel and EVP of operations, Joseph Hahn.
Important roles.
Definitely. And perhaps most notably for investors watching insider activity, The CEO, Seth Lederman, made a significant stock purchase on May 16th.
Ah, insider buying. That always gets attention. How does that feed into the risk opportunity discussion?
It certainly does. Look, insider buying, especially by the CEO, is often read by the market as a strong signal of confidence.
The thinking being they believe the stock is undervalued or good things are coming.
Precisely. It suggests management feels positive about the company's prospects. Now, it's never a guarantee, of course, especially in biotech leading up to a binary event like an FDA decision.
And that FDA decision is the major risk here, isn't it?
Absolutely. The upcoming decision on TNX 102SL is huge. Approval would be a massive boost, likely sending the stock higher. Rejection? Well, there would obviously be a significant negative impact.
So high stakes. What about the opportunities beyond that single drug?
The opportunity lies in the rest of the pipeline. If TNX 102SL gets approved, great. But even beyond that, positive data from their other clinical trials, progress in oncology or autoimmune diseases, those represent future growth avenues.
So putting it all together, the recent news, the insider buying, the upcoming decision, what's the general feeling or sentiment around Tonix in the market right now?
I'd say it's cautiously optimistic, perhaps leaning speculative. You saw the stock price move up recently?
What's likely driving that?
Probably a mix of things. Any positive clinical updates, certainly the CEO buying shares adds a layer of confidence. And then there's the growing anticipation as we get closer to that August SEA date for TNX 102SL.
And analysts generally look kindly on that kind of insider buying.
Generally, yes. It's seen as aligning management's interests directly with shareholders. It suggests they have skin in the game beyond just their salaries or options.
Okay, let's try to synthesize this. For someone listening, trying to get the big picture on Tonix Pharmaceuticals, what's the summary perspective?
Well, Tonix definitely looks like a speculative investment at this point. There's clear potential, especially riding on TNX 102SL and that upcoming FDA decision. That offers significant upside possibility.
Thoughts?
But it comes with all the inherent risks of biotech investing. You're dealing with a pre-profitability company heavily dependent on clinical trial outcomes and, crucially, regulatory approvals like the one coming up.
So, high risk, potentially high reward.
That's the classic biotech profile. The FDA review outcome for TNX 102SL is really the pivotal event everyone's watching right now.
So for you listening in, Tonix Pharmaceuticals. It's a company with some interesting potential, no doubt, particularly with that big FDA decision on the horizon for fibromyalgia.
But remember, like many biotechs, it carries significant risk. That regulatory hurdle is a big one.
Absolutely. Keeping a very close eye on their regulatory news, clinical trial updates, and, of course, their financial reports will be crucial if you're following the stock.
And, as always, do your own thorough research before making any investment decisions.
Couldn't agree more. If this exploration of Tonix Pharmaceuticals gave you some valuable insights today, please do subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and maybe leave a comment. We always appreciate hearing your feedback.
Thanks for tuning in.